I studied over 1,000 funded traders, and the top 3% had all 4 of these things in common. Not better strategies, not a secret indicator, 4 behavioral patterns that separate traders that keep their account versus those that blow them. And all 4 of these patterns almost nobody is talking about. There were 2 traders in the data set. Similar strategy, same market, same prop firm, yet one pulled payouts 5 months in a row, whereas the other blew 3 accounts in 60 days. When I dove deeper to understand what the difference was, these 4 patterns came up. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what these 4 patterns are, and more importantly, how you can implement them into your trading to start replicating the results of these top 3% traders. I've had the opportunity over the years to observe and work with many different traders. Traders trading a variety of markets and strategies at all different skill levels. I've seen many different trading psychology problems from many different angles. From being a trader myself, from trading smaller accounts and then taking on larger amounts of investment and noticing how much of a difference that's had on my trading psychology, to then also going off and consulting for different trading education companies and consulting for trading prop firms, to now running my own prop firm and observing traders that way. So this video is a summation of all my different findings and all my different insights from hitting this particular challenge and this particular problem from multiple different angles. And I hope you get insight from it. I hope you get 1 or 2 new things that you can implement into your trading. And I hope you can stand on the shoulders of the traders who end up doing very, very well. So traders, if you get value from this video, make sure you like the video and you subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with my most recent releases. I'm getting very active on YouTube, pushing out as much content as I can, giving you guys as many insights as possible. And if you're facing a particular trading psychology challenge that you just can't seem to get through, make sure you comment it in the comments below. I want to offer you some insights, some guidance on how you can start tackling that particular problem. And traders, if you resonate with my content and you get some insights from the content, I encourage you to check out the Bulletproof Your Trading Mindset 2.0 course in the description, and also check out my latest AI-powered trading psychology technology called TellerX. Both of these resources are completely free and they're linked in the description below. Enjoy the video. All right, so what is it these top 3% of traders are doing that you're most likely not? And what can we learn from them and start implementing into your trading so that you can start emulating the same results as these traders? The first thing that I identified with these top 3% traders when I read through the prop firm data, when I had a look at the trading results and I had a look at the trades before and after losses, when I analyzed a trader who just blew an account and they got a new account, what behaviors were they making? Or when traders went deeper into drawdown, what behaviors were they making? Or when traders just got payouts, what behaviors and what decisions were they making? I was analyzing all these components. And when I was working one-on-one with traders, I was asking them quality questions. All right, you made a certain error, something that you call an error here. You took a trade outside of your plan. What was in your mind at the time of taking that trade outside of your plan? I started to piece together components from multiple different angles. And then I drew from my own experiences trading, how I felt when I took on that larger amount of capital, how I felt when I blew it. All these components became a necessary understanding to have to help me understand the mindset of the top 3% of traders. And these are some findings, and these findings are a lot more practical and action-based, so you can take them on board and you can implement them into your trading. The first thing is that these traders aren't more active, they're more selective. And especially the higher up they scale up, they tend to prioritize quality over quantity. And what a lot of them do is they develop strategies and they optimize their strategy to increase the strike rate of the strategy, because they would rather have higher strike rates than win rates. And they would rather take quality setups over quantity setups and take less trades, but take them with greater size. And that's exactly what they're doing. As they continue to scale up, and especially when they're trading, $500,000 to $1 million worth in capital, they're being more selective with the setups they're taking. That became very, very obvious. The frequency, as the capital went up, the frequency of trades went lower. And I think this is partly because I think when you have a lot of risk on the market and you're taking big size positions, you're inevitably going to be stressed about that. You're going to be worried about that. And even though you can tell yourself, think in percentages, really the reality is if you're about to lose the value of a car, for example, that's going to have an effect on you. And that creates greater adrenaline responses and stress responses throughout the day. So these traders want to be more selective and only get into setups where their level of certainty in that setup exceeds any sort of stress they're going to experience in that setup. So being in that setup is actually worthwhile. So a lot of these traders were more selective. There's definitely benefit to being a little less selective early on and really finding what your circle of competence is and what your A grade setup looks like. And sometimes you kind of have to take B and C grade setups to figure out what that is. But it's always wise to move towards being more selective with your setups. Warren Buffett referred to it as the circle of competence. You have to know where you have edge. You have to know what setups are your bread and butter and that you take every single time. And typically that means trading less, and you typically have a higher strike rate, and you may make less percentage at the end of every month because you're taking less trades, but because you're trading more capital, the end profit you end up making is greater, and you don't have a lot of those stresses and volatilities that you would if you were trading very actively. Now, the second thing these top 3% of traders do is they adjust in high pressure environments. And I saw this consistently with traders that held on to their accounts and sustained their accounts. And what I mean by high pressure environments, two situations. Firstly, when traders went deeper into drawdown, let's say they had a max drawdown of 10% on a funded account, or even less, 6% or 4%. The closer they got to that max drawdown, they lowered their risk and they adjusted. They realized that if they were in negative 3% and their max drawdown was at 4%, they shouldn't necessarily be approaching the market the same way as if they were sitting +3 or +5. The deeper they go into drawdown, these wise traders reduce their risk. They take a little bit of risk off the table. Now, statistically and probabilistically, this may not make sense, but what I found is traders that got closer to max drawdown were often run heavily by the amygdala, and they're in this really strong survival response. So reducing their risk actually helped contain the psychology and keep them calmer so they could stick to their trading plan and over time dig themselves out of drawdown. Now, if you're implementing that drawdown protocol wisely from the start, then you find yourself in drawdown less than what you would most of the times. But in this high pressure environment of going into drawdown, without a doubt, these top performing traders had some sort of a drawdown protocol or a risk management protocol in place. And I cover extensively in one of my videos, risk management videos, how I suggest you do this and develop this based on your strike rate, based on your win rate, and based on your max drawdown. So I might link that video above here so you can check that out. The other place they adjusted was in high pressure environments when they were doing very well, because these traders understand that, trading is cyclical. You do well sometimes and you take losses sometimes. And they know that when they're doing well, they're not going to always sustain that indefinitely. There's going to be an inevitable pullback in their own results. So these traders knew that when they had a big winning streak, they knew intuitively that losses were most likely going to come. And as a result, they didn't buy into this elation and self-exaggeration that they were just going to continue to win and go on this winning streak. So what they did was they controlled their risk. They didn't over-risk in those situations. A lot of it had to do with how they felt and how they adjusted risk. They knew when they were in drawdown, they had to tighten up. They had to implement their drawdown protocol. They had to focus on taking only the highest quality setups. And when they went on winning streaks, they had to understand that this wasn't going to continue. And it's silly for me to continue to increase my risk and think that I'm going to sustain this for the rest of my month or my year. So they have a great understanding, having a great ability to adjust themselves and their risk management depending on the environment that was around them. Number 3, and I saw this very, very clear with the data, the top performing traders cut their losses quickly. They didn't hold on out of hope to a single position, and listen, I think preemptively mentioning this is really important because they were managing their risk so wisely, because they weren't risking more than 1% on each position. They weren't risking more than 1%. They were always risking less than 1% of their total account size. What happened is they then had the ability to cut their losses when they saw the trade wasn't playing out how they would like it to play out based on their edge. But the traders who put so much on the line, they risk more than 1%, and they create all these fantasies about what they think they're going to get from the trade, guess what happens to those traders? They're so attached to their individual position that it becomes very difficult to cut losses because of that hope of what happens if I cut the position, it turns around back in my favor. So because these traders were managing their risk so well, they had the ability to easily cut losses and move on. And fourthly, they had such a low emotional half-life. I mentioned before, I paid great attention to what traders did after they blew a funded account or after they got a payout. And hey, guess what? Blowing funded accounts sometimes is part of the journey. Just like getting payouts sometimes is part of the journey. Those are the two polarities that you're going to experience. Sometimes you're going to blow a funded account, sometimes you're going to get a payout. Sometimes you're going to get rewarded, sometimes you're going to blow your account. But at the end of blowing accounts, these traders didn't harp on it. They didn't sit there for months wallowing in pain, and they didn't, and I remember the first time realizing this with a very successful trader I was working with, because what I did when I lost my investment was I harped on it. And I was in self-pity for a long time and beating myself up for a long time, feeling guilty and feeling like I did something completely wrong and beating myself up for a long time. When I saw how these professional traders react to blowing accounts, it was eye-opening to me. Partly because they're not attached to one individual funded account. When they blow an account, they have such a strong emotional half-life, such a short emotional half-life, meaning they blow an account, okay, they may feel a little upset, but they learn from that experience and then they move on. And it's no big deal. They just move on after they extract the lessons. And so too, when they get a payout, they don't go off in glory harping on how good they are for months. They take that, they're grateful for it, and then they move on and they go back to their processes. So this is what I found consistent with the top performing traders. I highly, highly encourage you to take insights from these guys and these girls and implement them into your own trading. Now, traders, if you resonate with my content, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps tell YouTube this is useful content, and it continues to push my content to you. And it continues to ensure that when I release a new video, you're kept up to date with that. Now, if you have a certain trading psychology hurdle that you just can't get past, make sure you comment it below. I want to offer you some insights on that. And before you click away, I want you to jump in the description and check out the AI-powered trading psychology tool, TellerX. This is a recent release of mine, and it's a trading psychology tool that learns your baseline, understands you better than you understand yourself, and it stops you from self-sabotaging, revenge trading, impulse trading before it even starts. It's completely free to try out, so go into the description, sign up, try it out, and let me know what you think. Now, traders, before you click away, I want you to watch this video. It's going to pop up on your screen. It's a 15-minute video teaching you how to bulletproof your trading mindset. And I'll see you all in the next video.